I'm recording now, just letting you guys know. All right, welcome to episode 3. This is actually season 2, but welcome to episode 3 of the Underdog Show. I'm excited to get back into it, and today we have 2 more guests. We have a recent alumni, Reece Koe, and then we have junior swimmer Courtney Prefontaine, kind of accepting. And today we're going to talk a little bit about mathematics here on campus, and I have to admit, this is not my expertise. So if you don't hear me talking much, it's because I don't know what the heck they're talking about. But I'm excited. I'm excited for them to kind of share not only their experiences at the University of Redlands and, of course, the swimming dive program, but really kind of share some light as to share some light into the mathematics program here at the University of Redlands. And I think we've gotten a lot of great feedback from the previous 2 episodes. I think, your teammate Hannah did a really good job. I think she set the bar pretty high, along with Rob and Matt Skinner. So no pressure, of course, but no, I'm excited. I'm excited. So I'm going to introduce you guys. First, I'll start with brother here, Reece Koe, one of our swimmers, also a water polo player at University of Redlands. And so I'm gonna give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. You can kind of just introduce yourself and start with how you got to University of Redlands.
Yeah, so I was part of the class of 2020. Graduated this last year. Well, I didn't technically graduate, but I received my degree. I swam for 3 years and I played polo for 4, but we'll probably get into that later. But I came from Camarillo, California, out of Ventura County. I'm currently living in Ventura, working for the Naval Surface Warfare Center in Port Hueneme. So our command is responsible for some of the weapon systems on board ships and the operational side of the Navy. So I'm a data science staff researcher and do a lot of AI and machine learning development. And I also just started my master's program last week at UC Berkeley, pursuing a Master of Information and Data Science. So yeah, it's a little bit about me and what I've been up to. But
wow, that was a lot. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like we haven't even been talking about, we haven't started talking about math and you're already, you know what I mean? So, but no, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm gonna give Courtney an opportunity to introduce herself and kind of, she's a current student athlete right now. So I'm giving her an opportunity to kind of introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Courtney. I'm a math major, obviously, a junior. I'm a swimmer. I've been swimming since I was 3, so it's kind of all I know. I'm from Orange County, San Clemente, beach girl. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. So one of the things that we kind of, allow our audience to kind of get to know you guys as we get a little bit deeper into the conversations. So I want you guys to kind of dive into, you can kind of give me, whether it's super short or there's, maybe some long dramatic story as to how you ended up at the University of Redlands or why you chose the University of Redlands. I always think it's an interesting, interesting to listen to swimmers or even students, not even just student athletes, students in general, tell me how they ended up at the University of Redlands. So I'll start with you, Reece. How'd you end up at Redlands?
Yeah, so I know out of high school, I wanted to stay in Southern California and I wanted to swim and play polo. So that was a pretty short list of schools, and those are mostly just the SCIAC schools. A lot of people, I wanted to go D3. A lot of people say it's for like academic reasons and everything like that. But I also just wasn't good enough to go D1 or fast enough to go D1. So that's the reality of that. But I was checking out like a lot of Claremont schools, a lot of schools in the area. And then one of my coaches just kind of advised me to check out Redlands just to like go see it, because there's a lot of things that the school had to offer that you can't just see from online or from talking to a coach or anything. So I went on a recruiting trip and I loved it. The campus is super nice. There's just a lot that it has to offer as a community too, which I love. But I chose Redlands just from my recruiting trip. If I didn't check out campus or meet the people, I definitely wouldn't have gotten the full scope of it.
Nice. I'm glad you were transparent, honest, man. A lot of prospective student athletes, they don't have that real conversation with themselves and really, be honest and say, okay, Division 3, Division 2, Division 1. Because honestly, we have quite a few students who have the choice that we're recruiting. They can go, across divisions. So Awesome. Awesome. Well, how about you, Courtney? How did you end up here at the University of Redlands?
Well, to be honest, it was not on the top of my radar or anything. I wanted to go to a big school. I wasn't planning on swimming at all, but I got a college like counselor to help me figure out what would be the best pathway for me, and he recommended University of Redlands. I was like, no, like I don't want to go there. And I went to the campus, and I was like, oh my God, like this is beautiful. And I was like, okay, maybe. And then my tour guide was actually Michael Talig, who was on the swim team, graduated last year. And he was just telling me how much fun the swim team was. And I was actually going to play water polo. And I wasn't planning on swimming at all. And then I talked to Coach Leslie, and I decided to swim. And that was probably the best decision ever. The best team. But yeah, long story short, was not my top choice, but I don't think I could have made a better choice at all. Like, this is the best choice for me. The small class sizes, just the community, like Reese said, is amazing. I've never met more nice faculty ever. So I'm really happy with this choice.
Nice. Shout out to Talog. Shout out to Talog. We gotta get him on the show soon, man. I wonder what that guy's up to. So for sure. That's like what a small, I never knew that. And that's what I love about the show too. Like you guys, you guys aren't the only ones like learning things. I'm literally learning things as we go about, my own swimmers, so that's a dope part about it. So shout out to Talak, but cool, man. And I think that's something that we definitely communicate as far as, prospective students about the small class sizes. And honestly, Courtney, that's where a lot of our prospective student athletes are. They've never heard of Redlands, or they've heard of Redlands, but they're like, I'm good,
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
but, I think once they get here on campus, even furthermore, once you're enrolled as a student, you really see what Redlands has to offer, and it's a lot of amazing things. So I'm gonna move on to my next question. Thank you. Those are brilliant answers. The next question is like, what has the Redlands swim and dive experience meant to you, and or specifically, what has the swim and dive team meant to your student experience? And I'm gonna switch it up and let Courtney. I'm gonna let you answer that one first.
Well, it's the best decision I've made. Like I said, to swim. I met my best friends on the swim team like the first week of school. And I joined the swim team as well because I wanted to have like quick friends. And obviously that worked. I'm living with them. And yeah, I just can't imagine my college like career without swimming. The team is just so fun. We're a family pretty much, and we're so encouraging to each other. And we have the most school spirit at SkyX for sure. And our cheers are phenomenal. I can't talk badly about it. It's the best.
Yeah, that's real talk. I think we do, and I'm talking from firsthand experience because I've coached at another team in the conference. We're not going to give them any screen or audio time right now. So do a little research if you want to know what school I coached at before from the conference. But I've coached at another school in our conference, and and they have a lot of team spirit, but it was just a different energy when I was on the side with Redlands, and just being real. So definitely. So what about you, Reese? What did the swim and dive team do for your student experience?
Well, yeah, like Courtney said, you step on campus in day one, you have a community. You have friends just like that who want you to succeed academically, athletically. So that was a big part of it. I had a lot of friends. Most of my best friends that I came in with freshman year did not make it all the way through with me. And some of them weren't in sports, didn't have that community, So I'm lucky that I always had friends that I wanted to come back to. I always had a reason to come back. And I have friends at other schools too who lack that community aspect where, they step on campus and they join Greek life. Nothing against Greek life, but I think an athletic team gives you the benefit of you want to achieve in something positive, not just drinking on the weekends or drinking on the weekdays. Like we are all picking each other up to succeed academically and athletically. in something that will teach you lessons later down the road, not just have a shotgun a beer.
No, I appreciate you for being honest. That's real talk. I think, you said something earlier just about, the community, and then knowing other student athletes who you came in. So you guys came in together as freshmen, student athletes on other teams. There's no knock to other teams, of course. I think there's a sense of athletic community, involved with the Redlands athletics. But it's difficult. It's difficult to matriculate onto your senior year as a student athlete. That's just the honest truth. You know what I mean? No matter if you're a swim and dive member, water polo member, tennis, cross country, it's difficult. There's gonna come a time, whether that be your sophomore or junior year, where you're like, do I want to continue doing this? You know what I mean? Like, I could have a lot more free time and less stress if I just decide to be a student only. You know what I mean? So that's interesting. I kind of
want. We have that, and it's not as good.
Right, by default, because of COVID, yeah. we have that now. You know what I mean? But I wanted you, you could chime in too, Courtney. I wanted you to speak in a little bit more into that, like, because I think that's important for prospective student athletes to kind of understand, because I think, and I know it, Coach Leslie knows the same thing. Like, everybody kind of comes in and has this idea that everything's going to be, cupcakes and roses, and I love swimming, so it has to go right. I love what I'm going to potentially major in, so that must mean it's going to be smooth sailing. So can you talk a little bit about the idea of, being able to be a part of a team that encourages you to stick it out for 4 years?
Yeah, so I mean, there were definitely points when I wanted to quit. There were definitely points when I didn't want to go to practice. Waking up at 5 o'clock 3 times a week kind of sucks sometimes. But I don't know, looking at like the long-term goals and the unselfish reasons of why you do it. Like, you have your brothers and sisters all around you who are grinding, working just as hard too. And that helps you get up in the morning, like working out. My polo coach, Tom Whittemore, he wanted us to swim in the off season. And he told us that none of you are going to be waking up voluntarily at 5 o'clock 3 times a week to go to swim and just work out. Like, you need that community around you. And I don't know, just having people supporting you and like knowing that other people are struggling with you definitely helps push you through it, no matter how bad it gets.
Yeah, shout out to Tom Whittemore, man. Yeah. A low-key legend with Redlands Aquatics. I can't let you speak about Tom Whittemore without giving him a shout out. But yeah, that's so true. That's so true. What about you, Courtney? What do you have to say? Add to that.
Yeah, like, knowing everyone else is doing the same thing as you makes it a little better. I don't know. Swimming takes a lot of dedication, and I think that goes into schoolwork as well. So for doing sports like that for so long, it teaches you a lot of hard work and dedication, and I think that's a good aspect to have in your life. But yes, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard most of the time. But you feel so good after it's over, after you succeed at SkyX, and it's the best feeling.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta shoot it to us straight, and I think you're in the process. And honestly, I think your story is kind of unique, because you had no intentions of, really being a part of the swim team. And I can understand where you're coming from, like, as a high school swimmer and water polo player, right? Like, high school swimming to me, like, this is my opinion, it's Coach Nate's opinion. High school swimming did not compare to high school water polo. Let's just keep it real. I had way more fun with high school water polo than I did high school swimming. You know what I mean? I love swimming. Swimming is always my first heart, but high school water polo was so fun, So I think, you kind of came on, and Courtney is definitely a modest person, but she's definitely one of our contributors on our women's program. And I think that's the beauty of it, because there's such a, rawness to the idea of, like, she didn't even have any plans to be here, but now she's going into her junior year, one of our contributors, not only in the pool, but just our women's team, to kind of help lift up other women on the team to get through those rough patches in the season where it's like, man, this is hard. You know what I mean? This is hard to balance. I'm stressed out. I got a midterm coming up. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't feel prepared, whatever the case may be. I think your story, and hearing everybody's story is really important to that. So yeah, definitely. So cool. Well, on the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about, and we're going to get into specifics, as far as the academics at the University of Redlands. And, one of the reasons why I asked these two, well, I asked the alumni and then, the student to come on is to talk about mathematics here at the University of Redlands. And so my first question is going to be, why did you decide to major in mathematics? Like what kind of brought you to declaring that major, and what were some of the things that maybe happened in high school or things that happened in your freshman year that kind of was like, you know what, this is the route that I wanted to go, and what did Redlands have to do with that? You go ahead and start it off, Reese.
Yeah, so I chose Redlands based on the athletic programs. So I didn't really come with my mindset on math or physics or anything, but I thought I wanted to do engineering. So I took a few physics classes because that was the route, and also was taking math classes because that's just what you need. And then I don't know, I just got a couple years deep and I was like, oh, I should just add on a math major. I don't have to add on that many classes. So I don't know, it all worked out for the best. And I decided I didn't want to do engineering because I wasn't really a hardware, like hands-on kind of person. I like more the statistical side of things and the coding aspect of it. So yeah, it's all worked out, but I still had no idea. So if you're still undecided and have no clue what path you want to take, there's definitely resources at Redlands and anywhere to get you on the right path.
Yeah, that's good. I want to dig a little bit deeper in there because I like, it's honestly, it's kind of mind boggling to me. When I talk to student athletes on the phone or over Zoom, and I have to ask them like, what do you plan on majoring on? But when I really majoring in, but I really think about that question, they're like 16. You know what I mean? Like, like if they do have an idea, it's a strong possibility that that's going to change at some point between now and when they declare a major, right? So I want you to talk a little bit about, as a current student, you can kind of see and piggyback off of your peers' experience. Is that kind of a common thing where students kind of come in and it's like, well, I wanted to major in engineering, but now that I'm into it and I've taken a couple courses, I want to go this direction. Is that kind of a common thing, or from your experience and your peers and your students you've been around, is it been more common where students kind of know, like, I want to do this?
I think it's been pretty wish-washy. Like, so at Redlands, you're not allowed to declare until the end of your sophomore year. So even if you think you want to do, you're not allowed to even declare, which is a good thing, I think, in my opinion, because you really get to try out a few different things. And I started taking math classes my first term because I knew that was something in that direction is what I wanted to pursue, but I didn't exactly know. So it kind of helped not having to commit so early and being able to get some classes under my belt to really decide. But yeah, I had a lot of friends who switched up a lot of things, but really narrowed it down as the years went on.
Nice. Man, that's good. And I hope a lot of, if you're a prospective student athlete and you heard that, I hope that makes sense, because even if you have a strong idea, it seems like, Reese, you had a good idea that you were going to do engineering, and go that route, and after taking a few classes, it's like, well, never mind. So what about you, Courtney? What was your journey as far as choosing a math major?
I just remember like in second grade when I was learning how to like add and multiply and stuff. I loved it, and I always loved it up until Calc 1. I had the hardest Calc 1 teacher in high school, and I was kind of struggling in that class. But then I took Calc 2 with the same teacher, and I improved so much for some reason. And I started to really enjoy it, and I'm like, I might be kind of good at this, so he kind of influenced me to be a math major as well. So I applied to all the schools for a math degree, and I don't know if they changed it, but I actually declared freshman year. So I don't know if that's anything or whatever.
Maybe,
yeah, so I was pretty sure I wanted to be a math major. I came into college in Calc 3, so I kind of skipped a few classes. Not skipped, but like tested into a few classes Yeah.
So I told you she's a little modest,
So.
you know, basically she said she's ahead of the game. So I was able to declare as a freshman. No, I'm just playing. But anyway, no, no, that's really good. And you know, as you were talking, Courtney, this reminded me of really like the ebbs and flows of what we go through as coaches. Because oftentimes, you know, like when we're introducing certain events like the 200 backstroke or or the 400 IM, or you know what I mean, it's kind of like the first, you know, not to say that you guys, you know, develop just a passion for those events, you know, but we kind of have to ease it in there, you know. So at first you guys are kind of like cussing us out, you know what I'm saying, when you put your head in the water. But then, you know, as you guys improve and you actually get better, it's like, okay, you know, now I don't feel too bad about coaching that you put me in the 200 backstroke anymore. You know, what I mean? I still not too fond of it, but I'm okay with developing, you know what I mean? And maybe I can get something out of him putting me in this event. You know what I mean? That's what it just reminded me of. So like, just want to kind of correlate that to, you know, what maybe most of our listeners, you know, would understand is in the swim aspect of things. But awesome. So
I don't think I've ever enjoyed the two fly. Just for the record. No part of the two fly is enjoyable, but I'll still do it for you and Leslie. But
no, but you're so right. Like once you see those results, it's so satisfying, and you just want to keep moving forward with it.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I and that's a part of the journey. I think, you know, subconsciously, I think that's what makes being a part of a team, being a student athlete while you're going through your academic grind so important and so beneficial, because you have, you know, the lessons you learn from your academic classes and, you know, wonderful professors, but a lot of those lessons like directly can correlate to what's going on in the pool. And so it's just like almost you get hit in the head twice, you know, you get the lesson twice, you know what I mean? One in the pool and one in the academic side. So you're really just maturing as a person as you matriculate through your years. So that's the beautiful thing, you know what I mean? And I'm a little biased, you know what I mean? Because, you know, we're all connected to Redlands, you know, and not to say you can't have that at any other program, but I'm a firm believer that, you know, it's something special going on in the way we do that here at Redlands. So cool. So I kind of wanted to, before we get into our next segment, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, opportunities. You know, I hear a lot, like one of the big things that comes up is from our prospective students is opportunities with internships, opportunities with, you know, potential jobs, like, you know, especially with what's going on with the pandemic and, you know, like job market going up and down, you know, I mean, like what opportunities am I going to have either while I'm a student at Redlands and then furthermore after I graduated from Redlands, as far as grad school, as far as, you know, like I said, the job market. So, you know, I'll let you go first, Reese. You know, just being at Redlands in general, you know, how did that set you up for opportunities while you're an undergraduate, as far as your careers and everything like that? And how did it set you up as far as, you know, after you finished with Redlands?
Yeah, something I was really surprised with after graduating is how like wide our Redlands network is. You know, I didn't expect there to be so many alum out there in the workforce. When I'm scrolling through LinkedIn, there's always alumni in pretty much every company. So that's always nice to know that there's someone who could vouch for me. But while I was an undergrad, there were a lot of the professors, and there's some courses that are really big on getting you those summer opportunities and the areas that you can do summer research in. So after my sophomore year, I applied to probably 15 different programs, but I didn't get into any of those ones. Those are all academic like research opportunities where they're at a university and they're funded by the NSF. But so that's if you want to go more the academic route. And like my distinction between that and like industry work is like I don't love math. I love the applications of math. You know, so I don't love just researching math just for the hell of it. I want to like see the applications of it. And so I did internships at actually where I'm working right now. And you know, it's probably a good thing that I didn't end up getting any of those research opportunities, because then maybe I wouldn't have the job that I'm at right now. But the professors in the math department and the physics department were definitely pushing us and giving us hundreds of different opportunities. And they're always more than happy to write a letter of rec or recommend you to specific programs or to some of their colleagues across different universities. So it's definitely helped.
Nice. I think that I'm glad you talked about the difference between like applied math and like pure math. I know I did a little bit of research before the interview, so like
Nice.
I'm gonna try to pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but no. But no, I think that's good, because I think that the idea of engineering, you know what I mean, like that still probably kind of helped you, even though you didn't want to go that route, is you still wanted to go that route of applied math, you know what I mean? So, and I would imagine there's an avenue for each type of student, you know what I mean? But I know
Yeah,
when
and I've just sent out cold calls and messages on LinkedIn and Instagram and stuff to alum to say, hey, I'd love to pick your brain about how you got into this industry or how you got into this company. So if there's anyone listening who's a prospective student, hit me up on LinkedIn or Instagram or something. But I'd be more than happy to chat, because I know I just want to return the favor for all those alum who've helped me out.
Yeah, and even Reese is always sending me new opportunities for something.
Yep.
Every month I get a text from Reese. Here's this.
Your internship this summer. Here's a little essay thing for, what was it, $500, $300?
Yeah, 200.
$200, yeah. But
man, that's
network
big.
runs deep.
And so I don't want that to go over the listener's head. You know what I mean? Like, number one, what you just said about cold calling alumni and just saying, you know, hey, how did you get this opportunity? Like, what is it that I need to do to kind of set myself up for an opportunity like what I see you're in right now? You know what I mean? And that's the first thing. The second thing is how you're graduating or finished at Redlands, and then you are now still kind of giving back to students who are kind of trying to figure out their way, you know what I mean? Texting Courtney and say, hey, here's this opportunity and here's this. And I think that goes a long way. And that just speaks to, not only because students always ask me about, like, you know, how close is your team? You know, I feel like that's kind of a borderline loaded question, you know what I mean? Because because it's like, yeah, they're close, you know? They're
no
close.
coach is going to be like,
yeah,
our guys hate each other.
Right.
So disconnected.
But I can go a little bit deeper. Like, after hearing you talk, Reese, I can go a little bit deeper into and give you specific examples of, like, this is somebody, like, you know, this speaks to our men's team and our women's team, right? And here's a current member of the women's team. Here's an alumna from, you know, the men's team, sending texts, you know, about mathematic opportunities, you know what I'm saying, as far as industry. Like, that's huge. And so, you know, not to say that I'm not going to pretend like we're the only people we're the only campus and program that does that. But, you know, I know firsthand, because I have a lot of coaching friends, like, that does not happen in every program. For sure, it does not happen in every program. So, you know, in some programs, it's even like a dog eat dog world. It's like, you know, I'll cheer for you in the pool deck, you know, and smile in your face, and of course support you and treat you with respect when we're on the pool deck, of course. But I will not go out of my way to make sure you're taken care of after I'm gone. You know what I mean? So that just speaks to, you know, the atmosphere of what we have at Redlands. But yeah, I'll let you speak a little bit about it, Courtney.
Well, I am a junior, so I really haven't had too many opportunities yet, just because, like, I'm going to start researching it for this summer. And like I said, Reese has been texting me, like, different opportunities and stuff. I've reached out to a few alumni, just, yeah, picking their brain basically about how they got to where they are. But I think advisors help a lot. I go to my advisor for pretty much everything math related, and she helped a lot. So advisors are definitely someone to lean on.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel, you know, I feel like parts of that can be overwhelming, like, you know, pandemic aside, you know, that in itself can be overwhelming. Like, how are you going to navigate all of this and, you know, navigate your student experience and what you're supposed to be doing as far as creating opportunities. But, you know, do you feel like the professors, your peers, current team members, former team members have given you kind of a sense of peace? Like, I don't have all the answers now, but I know, you know, I'm comfortable with my network of people here at on campus and with the swim and dive team to kind of help me and nudge me to kind of create any opportunity that need be.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool seeing your teammates and former teammates, like, being successful with their jobs and finding their jobs. Also, it's really helpful to know that, like, every professor is welcome to you asking them questions. Like, you were talking about Sandy Kuntz earlier. I could probably email him, ask him any question, and he'd probably respond with something really helpful. So a lot of our professors are very knowledgeable with that kind of stuff too, and that's really helpful.
Started talking before I unmuted myself. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up Professor Coons. Shout out to him because like I literally
Shout out Coons.
I emailed him and he emailed me back. Now professors, especially as we prepare for students coming back on campus, there's a lot going on campus right now. So I literally emailed. I was like, man, I kind of waited till Thursday. I should have sent this email out on Tuesday. I'm like tripping. And like I sent the email. I'm not even kidding. He emailed me back like 45 minutes. I'm like, man, and he answered every question that I asked, and I emailed him back like, this is perfect. But one of the questions I asked him, I asked him was like, as far as prospective students, looking to mathematics, like what are most common questions, students have about being a math major in today's day and age? And he basically said that, there's a lot of like misconceptions about the job market. And a lot of students, when they think about math, they just think about, going into education, basically. Like, so being a math teacher is one of the things that a lot of people just think about, and I'm one of them. Like maybe just me being ignorant into the ideas and, concept of mathematics. And, I didn't understand and I didn't really think about it until I started doing a little research before this interview, the idea of applied mathematics and pure mathematics and how that falls in like your different career fields. So can you guys talk a little bit about like, what you learned, and I know Reese, you had an idea about, the direction you want to go as far as engineering, and then that changed, but how has the Redlands department kind of changed, how you view mathematics, and then maybe even change. So maybe you had an idea of what you wanted to do, and maybe you're exploring some other ideas as far as a career. Courtney, now that you've been in, this is your third year into the program.
I mean, yeah, my mind has changed a lot of the time. Like my goal would to be doing like stats for the NFL or something. I know that's not very likely, but
that's dope.
Why
That's
not?
dope.
I'll meet you there. What do you mean?
I
It's
need
not
some
likely.
connections first.
Hey, so look, check this out, Courtney. Like I'm really big into sports, and we can talk offline about, some of the stuff that I got going on, but it's all about who you know and what you're willing to be able to offer as far as value. So I could tell you right now that's not unrealistic, you know what I mean? Based on who you know. And that's also one of the beautiful things about being in Southern California as well. Just like the access that we have to not only our own athletic department, but the number of college athletic departments that are around us, and then the number of professional sports teams that are around us within a 60-mile radius is like kind of ridiculous, so
Yeah.
that's not unrealistic, so definitely we'll talk offline though. We'll talk offline. All right.
Yeah, that would be great. I also am thinking about like being an actuary maybe. There's just a lot of different options that you can go with math. And like you said, I don't think people realize it because every time I tell someone I'm a math major, they're like, what? They're like, you want to be a teacher? I'm like, no, there's other things you can do with that. And I just don't think people realize it because I mean, it does seem like a very, I don't like narrow major. I don't really like, I think that's people's misconception of it is that you can't do too much with it. But honestly, you can do a lot with being a math major. There's so, like Reese was saying, there's so many applications to math, whether it's engineering or data analysis, like anything. So I gotta keep researching, keep asking my advisors, and hopefully I'll find a connection to the NFL.
Telling you, you gotta speak into existence. I'm telling you, trust me. But yeah, Reese, what about you? How's math kind of, shaped? I mean, the math department here at Redlands, your experience at Redlands shaped, what you thought math could give you as far as opportunities are concerned.
Yeah, our department specifically is pretty broad. Like at a bigger school, they would have pure math degrees and applied math degrees. But ours is pretty broad, so you get a wide scope of all the different applications. So that was good to know all the different areas of it. But so like I'm gonna get into data science. I'm going in that direction with it. So it's kind of like combining computer science and math. But I had this girl in my class who was a math major and she got into finance. And like she doesn't necessarily write proofs or anything in her job day to day, but the employers know that like you're good at problem solving, you're good at analytical thinking, and you're good at like really working through a problem. So if you go to anyone and say, oh, I was a math major, no one's going to look down on you for that. no employer is going to ever look down on your abilities for that. They'll always take that into consideration. And Courtney, I just applied to a couple jobs at the NBA league office yesterday, so I got you. I got your connections. Don't worry. I'll be there one day. That's the goal.
Yeah, hit me up.
Nice. I'm gonna have to hit you up for some connections now. But no, that's dope. So before we move on to the next point, could you give me an example, right? So like I said, a lot of students, and I'm guilty of this, when we think about math majors, we're limiting our thoughts to just the idea of teaching math in education, right? So what are some examples, when you talk about applied, math, to where, just to give the listeners some examples of that. The statistics example is great, like in data analysis, that's a brilliant examples. But could you give the audience, just, and either one of you guys can chime in, some kind of tangible examples of career choices that they can go?
Yeah. So, and specifically, like, to be a data scientist, like what I am working towards, you can do things like, say you have a big data set of 1 million points of like the housing market in Redlands. They have all these different houses, and then you want to predict how much this certain house that's going to go on the market should be worth. Then you can run an algorithm, create a model based on the different fields and the different metrics that they have to predict this price. So that's just a basic model example of regression that I'm working on. But there's a lot of different applications in machine learning and data science. I know there's a big buzzwords right now, and they don't really mean much to many people, but that's a growing industry, and there's going to be a lot of jobs popping up in there in a couple of years. No,
that's good. And I think, they may have been quote unquote buzzwords, but even someone who's not in that field, I understand what you were saying. You know what I mean? And I think, that idea of bringing value, and because the concern is like, well, how can I be of value in the marketplace in 2021, 2022, when, the world is a lot of things shifting in the world, like right before our eyes. So, how can my degree at Redlands and my experience at Redlands still set me up to offer value in the marketplace, even though those shifts are happening? You know what I mean? So I love that. That was a brilliant answer. I think, more of our students need to hear answers like that. And I think, this is me, if I'm talking from my own set of experiences, but I think when you deal with high school, a lot of things are like cookie cutter, you know what I mean? So like when I'm talking to student athletes, some of the things they say is kind of like, man, if you only knew, I've heard that question probably 1 million times. I've heard that response 1 billion times. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think, that just speaks to like how our high school students and prospective student athletes are kind of being set up, and so I think it's important for our students to kind of be in an atmosphere and an environment to where those some of those kind of, I don't know, barriers and obstacles, with their mind, it can be broken. You can kind of have people lift you up. So it's awesome. I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Courtney.
I think you covered
it. All right. So in the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about, some things that you guys wish you knew, or, just really some advice that, from your set of experience, that you want to give prospective student athletes, like who are either in high school or even like, who are freshmen right now. Like, what is, something. So I'm asking you guys, so what's something that you wish you knew as a high school senior or a college freshman about mathematics in general, the departments here at Redlands? Was something that you had to learn the hard way, or that you wish you knew back then that now, that maybe our prospective student athletes or our high school or college freshmen could benefit from? And it doesn't matter who goes. Yeah, go ahead, Reese.
So something that I wish I would have known is just like how good it feels to matter in a community, I guess. Like the whole idea of being a big fish in a small pond versus a small fish in a big pond. My two big choices at the end of my college decision were Cal Poly SLO and Redlands. So huge school, no sports, like who knows where I would have ended up. or small school, played sports, you know, had a community. And I'm glad I'd made the decision I did, because I was someone like I could walk around campus and see all my friends, or like know people passing by me, and like see professors that knew my name, you know, and knew my face. I wasn't just another number, just one of 10,000 students on campus, you know, like it felt good to be a big fish in a small pond. So I wish I can, or I hope I can just iterate that out to prospective students that, like, you know, going to big name schools with 30,000 people is great, but I don't know. I really enjoyed my experience at Redlands, being someone.
Just to piggyback off of that, I know people that don't ever see, like if they go to a big school like San Diego State, I know they don't see their friends around campus. I'm like constantly seeing people I know. And like you said, the professors know your name. You're in a collective small class, and you guys all help each other, like you study together. And that's really nice. And I just can't imagine like going somewhere and not seeing people around, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, my physics graduating class was 4. So you can imagine
Wow.
my classes were really small, and we got to know each other really well, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that, like I said, we, you know, when I'm talking to students, and, you know, if I ask a general question, like, you know, what are you and your parents looking at? Are you guys looking at, you know, small school, big schools? And, you know, some students will say, well, I'm open, you know, and that's great. I have nothing against that at all. But I really, sometimes I don't think they understand the pros and cons, right? Or, you know, what they're really looking for in an experience. Some of the things that you said, Reese and Courtney, you guys were speaking to, like, literally your experiences, right? Like, you know, Courtney brought up a point where you know, what are you going to experience as you walk the campus? You know, like, I think people don't really think about, they just think about, like, you know, certain kind of, I don't know, buzzwords, you know, when it comes to college, like large class sizes. Oh, I like large class sizes. Small classes. Oh, I like small, like, but what are you going to experience? You know what I mean? Like, if I have 4 people in my graduating class for my physics major, what does that mean for my experience? You know? So I think, you know, and I do my best to try to communicate that to prospective student athletes, whether they end up coming to Redlands or not, you know, to try to explain to them, like, it's really what you and your parents want for you as far as a college experience, you know? So I guess we'll piggyback off this one. This wasn't one of my questions, but I'm curious to know, like, as far as your student experience, what things have you guys learned, you know, just piggybacking off of that, like what, and it could be pros or cons. It could, you know, everything about this podcast doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, amazing, but, you know, what are some things, you know, where you had maybe even learned about your student experience, and you're still learning about your student experience, maybe for Courtney, that you wish you were well prepared for, or you had no idea was coming, you know, especially being a student athlete, you know? So what are some of the experiences that you guys are either experiencing currently, or you experienced, Reese, when you were an undergraduate, that you had no idea was coming, and you wish somebody kind of explained to you, you know, how things really work as far as being a student athlete?
Yeah, so something like I've reflected upon a lot since graduating is like the different phases I went through of college, you know, like, so coming in as a freshman, you can create this whole new identity. You have no one looking over you, no parents, right? For the first time in your life, you can just be your complete self, or like whoever you want to be. And then I definitely like fell out of line and looked up to the wrong kind of guys, you know, and like there were some times when I did some questionable things that, looking back now, I definitely regret, but it was all learning experiences, you know. But I wish I would have took notice of like who I was looking up to and who I was modeling my behavior after, right? Because a lot of those guys who were older guys on the polo team and the swim team are not doing well now, you know, like they're not successful in life, they're not happy in life. But back then they looked on the outside like they're having a great time and living up at parties, and, you know, they had everything I wanted. But those shallow things weren't long-term stakes of happiness.
Yeah, and what Reese said is like you can really be who you want to be. Like I came to the school not knowing a single person, which I'm not, like I can barely go to the grocery store alone. Like I hate doing things alone. So that's kind of a big deal for me, but I am so much stronger because of it. I think I've gained so much confidence just being in college. And I think obviously people are older and probably more mature than they were in high school, but people in college are just so much better, so much nicer. People don't really judge. It's just, I don't know, it's a big difference. But I think we all make mistakes too, yeah. But just, I would say, like, live it up, you know, like college, you got 4 years, you know.
I would do it all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna piggyback off what you just said, Courtney. Like no lie, the people that I met in college are, to this day, like I was on a group, you know, I used like the house party app, and like really the only reason why I use that app is because my college friends were all on it, and we literally probably once a week all get on for about 20-25 minutes and clown and reminisce about college. Like literally, I'm not exaggerating. So then, you know, guys were at my wedding, were at my first daughter's baby shower. Like these are guys that I went to college with. So I think, you know, I definitely underestimated, you know, what my college community and the guys that are around, what that would mean to me in the future, you know, because when you're in college, you're young, you're still a young adult, you know, you're still having fun, you know, college is kind of like class fun, you know, hang out with my friends, you know, you don't really understand as you matriculate and become, you know, when you get past college, like what those relationships will mean. And I think you have to, for me, you know, and like you said, Courtney, everybody's going to make mistakes. You're going to bump your head a few times. You're going to learn the hard way with academics, with relationships, with sports, you know, that things aren't always going to be perfect, but it's important that you at least look at something like college decision, where I'm going to go to school, and, you know, look at the people there and, you know, listen to things like this that can kind of give you an idea, so that at least you set yourself up, you know what I mean? So now, you know, if Courtney's going through something, you know, she has her teammates to kind of lift her up. If she's kind of struggling with whatever, you know what I mean, she has a community, you know, it's not, I'm going through this and I'm at this large school and I don't have any community, but there's literally people, the student athletes who literally battle with that, you know what I mean? So it's not uncommon, especially in today's, you know, day and age of mental health. So I think that's super important, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, because like I said, I get to learn a little bit more, not only about what you guys doing on the academic side, but, and I'm somewhat familiar of, you know, what you guys do in the pool, but like I get to see another side as far as, you know, how things matriculated. So definitely. I don't know if you wanted to add to that, Reese, or.
Yeah, I mean, what you were saying about like reminiscing with college friends, you know, I've been FaceTiming stuff with some of my old teammates, and those are some of my best friends in the world now. You know, like we always say that we came in as children and left as adults, all together. So like it's a real special relationship. You know, I have friends that I've known since I was 5, but like the friends that I've made in college, like definitely mean something different, because we've grown up so much in those 4 years together.
Yeah, for
even
sure.
I'm reminiscing with all the graduates. Like Bert calls me at least once a month.
Shout out Bert.
Bert, shout out. Hey, you know,
yeah,
so
you got to get him on the show.
I got to. It wouldn't be
God,
right.
Of course.
It wouldn't be right. So I sent the mass text out to you got it, Reese. I'm the text email out, and Bert hit me back like, yeah, I'd love to be on the show. I was like, little do you know, Bert, everyone would love for you to be on the show.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, little do you know.
By far. Best episode by far.
It'll be the best.
You guys gotta help me out on who the guest will be, because it has to be just right. You know, it has to be whoever.
No, you don't even need a second one. Just bring Bert on.
Just Bert. Oh my God, you'll get your entertainment for sure.
Yeah.
Bert and Skinner, actually, that'd be funny.
Yeah, stay tuned for the highlight of season 2.
Oh my goodness, yes, that would be too funny. Yeah, I think though, just knowing Bert though, it's gonna be a highlight. But if it was just me and him, he would be treated as very formal. You know what I mean? So I gotta have somebody like, you know, it's gonna make him lighten up. You know, somebody he's been around a lot more, and he's been around you guys a lot more than me. But yeah, no. So I'm gonna wrap it up with last question here, and I want you guys to we're gonna go back to, you know, the swim and dive team, and you know, the experiences. You can kind of give me either a memory or, you know, just give me your thoughts on the swim and dive team as far as. You know, we talked earlier about what the swim and dive team has meant to you as far as community, but I also kind of wanted to get like, maybe it's a story, or you can get into like, get into not only what the swim and dive team has meant to you, but as far as I want to know a little bit more about the community aspect of the swim and dive team, is what I'm trying to say. So talk a little bit more about the community, specifically the women's program, specifically the men's program. And so if I have a student athlete who says, like, I've looked at your Instagram, it seems like a fun team, seems cool, coaches seem cool. What is it that's unique about the Redlands swim and dive community? That would persuade a student to come here once they experience it. Like if somebody had the opportunity to kind of be a fly on the wall, you know what I mean, with you guys hanging out socially or hanging out on the pool deck, what's unique about the Redlands swim and dive team, and from your experiences? You can give me a story, or you could just tell me how you feel about it.
I think something that's unique is like, I don't think of it as a men's team and the women's team. A lot of college programs, they practice separately. They go to meets separately. It's all completely different teams, but when I think of our team, I think of all the guys, all the girls, all the events we're doing outside the pool is all together. So that's something unique and even since graduating, we were planning to do some homecoming thing, even without the restrictions of COVID. And then as we got closer and closer, we ended up canceling it, but we just kept pushing it back. We're like, okay, maybe next month we can do it. And then we'd find these Airbnbs, and then, okay, maybe next month we can do it. It fell through again. Like literally 6 times it fell through. But we're just waiting for something safer, but we're all bummed we can't get together. Like it's, we all miss each other, and it's not even like some surface level thing. Like I'm still hitting these people up. I'm still talking with these guys almost daily. So yeah, I don't know. I miss it a lot, Courtney. You can't take it for granted.
Yeah, I know. The situation we're in right now is not the best, but what comes to mind for me is like an Amazing Race. And I didn't get to compete in inter squad last year, but I heard it was fun. I was sick. But like trivia day, like stuff like that. Hell Week. Oh my God. Honestly, freshman year, we had 2 weeks of Hell Week. Best 2 weeks. I was just hanging out with my friends, swimming our hearts out for 5 hours, and then sleeping and eating. Like, what more could you ask? Like, no schoolwork. It was honestly the most fun 2 weeks. But it's stuff like that. Like, you're hanging out with your team. You guys are having fun in the pool, even working hard. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't seem like work to me. Like, it's fun. I enjoy going. And back when I was on club, I would dread going, and now I'm like excited. Like once we get back in the pool, I'm so excited to go and see everyone. And just,
yeah, 4 p.m. was always the best time of the day, every day.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And I can feel that too. Like you guys don't know, like, sometimes I'm just having a busy day, you know what I mean? And like whatever's going on. And I'm like, man, I just finished writing the practice, and it's just like all hell is breaking loose, and then I hear Skinner yell like, "Bird!" You know what I'm saying? And I just start smiling, and then I get excited to come out, on the podium, even though my day has been crap, so
yeah.
I think, and it's not even, I think it transcends, and I know you guys could probably speak to people who aren't even on the swim and dive team, like, maybe their energy, if you guys know people in the dorms or even off campus, their energy is kind of off, and then you guys kind of come in, it's just like, well, dang, everything's kind of cool now, so I had a cool day at practice. It was hard, but I was going to tell you, Courtney, can you speak to just a little bit, you don't think it was a full story if you don't want to, but like just a little bit of your journey as far as like you deciding to swim, and, because I guess if people really knew like the amount of yardage or the like the amount of work that's involved, and swimming is not a sport to where you just like, it's fun. That's why I think water polo is like, at least there's a ball involved, and at least everything isn't centered around swimming up and down. Like at least I can be entertained to some extent, so you have to be very mentally tough to train swimming. But can you talk a little bit about just your journey as far as deciding to join the swim and dive team? And like I said, you've been fortunate enough to be one of the, one of our scorers and contributors. And, I know that was somewhat unexpected, but it was like just the icing on the cake. I really feel like even if that wasn't the case for you, it still would have been so fun for you. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I was on club since I was 3. So I quit when I was 14. So that was 11 years on one of the hardest clubs, I would say, pretty notorious for being pretty hard, the Mission Viejo Nadadores. So when I was like 11 or 12, I started getting really burnt out. I stayed with it for 2 more years, and then I quit on a Friday, and then on that Monday, high school swim started. So I didn't even get a break then. So that was great. And then freshman year of high school was really fun, you know, new, whatever. And then sophomore year, like, I'm not saying it wasn't fun, but I was burnt out again, as a lot of people can be. Like, there's no way I'm swimming in college. That's not going to happen. Then I talked to Michael, and he was just telling me how fun it was. And then I talked to a few other people on the team, and they were telling me how fun it was as well. And I was like, yeah, okay, like, I'll try it out. I don't have to stick with it, but I'll try it out. Then I met some of the girls on the team. They're really cool. Still hang out with them. Still live with them. And that kind of, I'm more of like a social aspect swimmer, but then like, but seeing my results as well, like I worked hard freshman and sophomore year, surprisingly. And it paid off. Like I liked it. I liked seeing my results. It was kind of new because the last time I really peaked was when I was 14. But being at practice, like I said, it doesn't feel like work. It's fun, even when we cruise. Like like once the cruise is over, like we're all laughing and having fun, you know, with our beet red faces and stuff. But a lot of times and the swim meets are really fun. A lot of times, like when we do stations, like on Saturdays, that's so fun. And then we're all hanging out after. It's just a community. And I don't think I would still be on the team if it wasn't like that. If like you and Les didn't change up the workouts and like it didn't stay boring, you know, like swimming, you said swimming is boring, but the way like our team interacts, it doesn't feel like work, like I said for the third time.
Yeah, if I could piggyback on that, I only swam my first 2 years, and then I chose to go abroad in the spring of my junior year. And I kind of went about my second year like thinking this is going to be the last time I ever swimming. You know, I really worked hard because I thought that was going to be the end of that chapter for me. And then I came back my senior year, and I begged Leslie to let me back on the team, and I'm so thankful that she did, because I don't think my senior year would have been as complete without it. But yeah, I definitely was ready to quit and ready to hang up my Speedo, and then I don't know, there was a void missing, and I needed to swim again. I needed to be a part of the community, you know?
Yeah. This conversation makes me smile. But yeah, no, I definitely couldn't agree more. I think you guys look like you're having fun. And of course, like in the middle of a cruise set, you know, for anybody who doesn't know, our cruise set, who named it the cruise set? That has to be that sounds like Leslie probably, you know, kind of named it cruise. Yeah. That sounds like something she would do, but
you're not cruising.
Yeah, you're not cruising. It's just basically brutal. You know, typically Mondays, brutal, you know, traditional, you know, tough interval, a lot of yardage, just, you know, low rest, just grind, swimming, you know, on Mondays, you know, once a week we typically do. So it's so interesting to watch them, because it's like you hate the fact that you're doing cruise, but like Courtney said, it's not that bad because you get to, you know, really enjoy it with your friends, you know. But yeah, so I really, you know, I as a coach can appreciate that, like how you guys' energy and how you guys feed off each other. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now we get to see a little peek inside Nate's life.
Yeah. Little Leslie, she just woke up from her. She just, you know, Ezzy, she just woke up from her nap. You know, she's here, but yeah. I would show her right now, but she's very shy. She's gonna start crying if I show her. You know, she sees people looking at her. But yeah, no. My last thing, and I wanted to make sure I got this, and I promise this is the last question. But I really wanted for you guys to just talk about like the atmosphere at our conference meet. And you know, this year's a little bit different, obviously, but just talk a little bit about the atmosphere and, like you said, why we think, you know, we have the most spirit out of our conference, and talk about that. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Facts.
Oh,
me?
you
Well, SkyX is quite an event. It's what, 4 days of just swimming your heart out. There's always people on the other side of the pool cheering you on, you know, go dogs, like just everything. We have our fun cheers, like ooh, LA, ooh, LA, like weird cheers. Yeah, like I said, like there's always someone cheering you on. It doesn't matter who's in the pool. Like there's gonna be someone at the end of your lane, and you don't see that with every other team. Also, our colors are a lot better than most. And SkyX is obviously stressful, like any swim meet. That I don't usually stress in my life, and that is definitely a part when I stress because I just want to do well. But it's also probably the most fun 4 days of the whole year, probably, honestly. And then you get to see your results, and you get to see how your hard work had paid off all season, and that's why you're there.
Yeah, definitely. Best 4 years of the year, 4 days of the year for sure. You know, and it always falls right around spring break. So this year we were lucky enough where right when we were done with SkyX, it was spring break. So that was nice. You know, you just finish all your schoolwork and just focus on swimming for 4 days. And that was it's a dream, you know, just focus on sports. And a little side note, me and a bunch of the seniors, we also did a Cabo trip right after that to celebrate our retirement. So another aspect of how close we are.
Yeah, I've seen pictures on Instagram. It looked like you guys have fun. It looked like you guys
yeah.
have fun. Yeah. What would you say to the prospective student athlete who would who's thinking about, you know, maybe, you know, somehow through Instagram or maybe having a conversation with Leslie or myself, who's considering, you know, maybe applying to Redlands, but you know, they're also considering, you know, maybe a larger school like you were, Reese, as far as Cal Poly Slow, you know, maybe not swimming, or they're a really good swimmer, you know what I mean? So they have options as far as, you know, across different divisions. Like, what would you say to either one of those type of students as far as like why they should consider Redlands?
I would say just hit up guys on the team or girls on the team. You know, like I wish I would have reached out to people and just heard from their point of view. You know, and even if you're the fastest guy ever, like we had a guy this year, Blake, you know, he's a freshman and he killed it, right? And he was placing, like he got on the podium, right? If I'm not mistaken, you know, or a guy like Sam Ayers, right? He
all
was
conference,
all conference as a freshman and sophomore. You know, I bet that feels pretty damn good to sit up there on the podium as a freshman and sophomore, you know? So even if you are the fastest swimmer, like don't look down on it at all because our conference is so fast. You'd be surprised. But I would just say hit up guys or girls on the team and you know, ask them about their experience.
And usually like Les will have like one of our teammates call someone that's thinking about coming too or text them. Because I've texted a few, I think freshmen now. I was texting recruits last year, I guess. And I had when I was thinking about coming here too, and I had people texting me, which was really cool. It shows like we care a lot, you know, putting in the effort.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, you know, like, I think I do my best to tag a lot of the like if you see a post, you know, like this, we'll have clips of this on the Instagram and, you know, I'll definitely tag you guys. And so I think you guys are super open to, you know, random DMs from prospective student athletes, you know, asking questions or, you know, if you guys have the numbers, texting, you know, I think we do a good job of that. But yeah, I think just overall you know, the vibe is always super welcoming, you know, and, you know, all of our, you know, incoming freshmen, as far as our women and our men who are freshmen now, that's the one thing they've said, you know, so I definitely think it's the icing on the cake. Well, this has been super fun, man. Like I every time I do this, I have more fun, you know, so I need to do it more often. I really appreciate you guys. Like you guys gave up so much insight as far as, you know, math on campus, Redlands in general, the swim and dive team. So I really appreciate it. Any last words? You know, how can people get a hold of you? You can give, you know, if you're willing, of course, you can give specific, like how can people get a hold of you, Reese, as far as your email or your Instagram account?
Yeah, just look me up on Instagram, Reece Koe 11, or on LinkedIn. Just look up Reece Koe and hit me up, and I'd be more than happy to help out anyone. But I hope we are able to help out some prospective students today, and thanks for having us, Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
No, it definitely was fun. And so the last thing is I'm going to ask you guys, and you guys can text me this, once we get offline. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this for this season. This is like season 2, of the show, but I may keep it. So I'm going to ask you this question. You guys got to pick a song, and this song is supposed to remind you of either Redlands in general, campus in general, or the swimming dive team at Redlands. But you guys both have to agree on a song, and I might post it depending on how I'm going to go do some research as far as Spotify and all that good stuff.
Me and Courtney have pretty opposite music taste, so we'll see. But,
Reese loves his country.
Oh, you know it.
Are you?
That's not a joke. No way.
No,
I realized that wasn't a joke.
No way.
Your country,
I fit in with the
man.
Niners. Yeah, I fit in.
And you're not Courtney? Not even a little bit?
No.
You can't understand the words that they're saying, and it's because it's all bleeped out. So.
No, I like R&B. R&B is my favorite by far.
Oh man.
Right. We'll think of something though.
Yeah, think of something. Yeah, think of something for me. If not, then I'll figure out something.
Who let the dogs out?
I like that.
I feel like we used to play that on the bus.
Yeah, it fits our mascot too.
Oh man, but yeah, no, this was a pleasure. And like I said, if you guys need anything, definitely, like I said, I encourage you, Courtney, definitely always stay connected with Reece, man. It sounds like he's, on the fringe of some connections, with stats. Would you say stats in the NFL? So
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. Thanks again. Okay, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Nate.
Thank you.
All right, talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.